Hello EasiWash Nation, this is Brandon. In today's video, we're going to go over the basic operation of our EasiWash unit. This video is for brand new operators who have never pressure washed before, or have never pressure washed with an EasiWash system before, or it could even be a refresher course for spring startup. First things first, you need to make sure the unit is still plugged into the wall. This cable coming into the gray box is your power coming in from your building. Should go up to your socket on the wall somewhere. Make sure that's plugged in with your breakers turned on. Next is to make sure your water supply hoses are on and tight, and follow them up to the hose bibs on your wall or in the ceiling, and make sure they're both turned on so that water can come into the unit. The next thing is these switches on the gray box and your remote stations. This is mimicking a remote station outside, so you need to identify all of the remote stations you have. You could have one, you could have none, you could have 4 of them. Find them all, make sure all of these rocker switches are turned off. There's 3 switches per remote, and they all do the same thing. The first switch is your pump on and off switch. After this master toggle switch is turned on, it will give power to these remote switches. The pump switch turns the unit on and supplies cold water only. The second switch is your warm switch, which turns on your hot water solenoid, mixing hot and cold water, supplying yourself warm water. That's your middle switch on your remote station. Last switch is your soap solenoid switch, or your soap switch. If you do not have soap, which some people or a lot of people don't really use, make sure you never turn this last switch on, because it will just suck air into this soap screen, causing low pressure issues. So that's your last toggle switch on your remote station, or the bottom one on your unit. Again, that's your soap switch, only if you're using soap. If you've got a jug here, don't assume that it's full either. You'd have to check it and make sure it's full of soap. Like I said earlier, this is your master toggle switch, and this supplies power to all these switches. So if this is down right now, I can turn all these on and nothing happens. So I'll turn them all back off. Once I turn this on, I will have access to all my switches. But if this turns on and nothing happens, that's what you want, because you can have these switches off here, but if you turn this on and something happens, that means one of your switches are on outside. You need to go shut them off. Next, we need to double check that our ball valves are closed. There's a ball valve on your unit and a ball valve on each remote. And the off position is this handle is perpendicular to the pipe coming out of the wall. There's a little locking fork on here so the handle can't be accidentally turned. Lift up the fork, slowly turn the handle in case it's pressurized. Do not stand in front of it either unless you want a face full of water. I will leave that shut for now. Next is to get your hose out and ready. Get your hose cart out of the shed, or just find your hose you're going to use. Just do a general inspection over it. Make sure there's not any holes in it or chafing. Eventually, if it's drug on the ground long enough, the blue coating will rub off, showing and exposing metal cords. There will be metal slivers, and they will bite your hand, I promise. Get your hose out, find the silver plug-in end, and on your remote station you have a little quick disconnect collar. Pull the collar back, push the plug in, and make sure it comes all the way back so it's latched and locked. Next is my gun wand assembly. Should be the gun with a lance with a disconnect on the end. I'm going to plug my hose in. Here's a little close-up of the quick disconnect. I pull the collar down, put the plug in, and see how it's not latched yet? I'm going to keep pushing until it clicks. Now it's all the way up and it can't come off and it's locked in. Same goes for this end. This is a very important end also. This is where you create the pressure for your unit. If there's nothing in here, there will be no pressure created. It will just be a stream of water, and you will have low pressure. You need to make sure, if you want high pressure, you need to use this yellow nozzle. And to make sure it's the right yellow nozzle, there's numbers on here. This one says 15050. And what that stands for is 15-degree angle of spray, and 050 is for the orifice size. There are a lot of yellow tips on the market, but they are not all of this size. If you do not have a 15050, you will cause pressure issues. Same deal with the quick disconnect. You pull this down, insert the plug end of your nozzle, and notice how this isn't up all the way. If it's not up all the way, as soon as you put high pressure on this, this is going to become a rocket launcher and you're going to lose your nozzle. Make sure you push down on it until that latches. Okay, I'm ready to start the unit. My toggle switch is on, and it should be on with all of my rocker switches off. I'm going to turn my pump on right now. Slowly open my ball valve. My unit's pressurized right now, and I'm ready to spray. Notice how my lights are red on the unit and at the remote. And if I click on the warm water, for instance, you'll see how the red light on the unit turns on also. Same with my soap switch. I'll just do that real quick. They're all interconnected. So if the light is on and it's still off on the unit, that still means this switch is turned on somewhere in the system. When I'm done washing, I will shut it off, which is most important because sometimes you can't hear the unit run when you're outside. You need to shut the unit off before you start putting everything away. After I shut the pump off, my gun is still pressurized. I'm going to pull the trigger in a safe direction, release the pressure, and I can start disconnecting everything. I'll disconnect my gun, put that away. Shut my ball valve, and put my hose away. That's all we got for today's video. Thanks for watching.